everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst, and I have a very interesting lady today. We're going to have such a fantastic conversation. So, let me start off by just introducing. Some women offer advice from a textbook. Other women offer wisdom earned through long nights, hard decisions, unexpected detours, and the courage to keep going when life looks nothing like the plan. My guest today is Gail Showalter, known in the Southeast Texas as the old bird with feathers of wisdom for women and a soft spot for single moms. I love that, Gail. Gail raised three children as a single mother for 16 years. So when she speaks about exhaustion, financial pressure, loneliness, resilience, and rebuilding your life, she's not just speaking from the sidelines, she's actually lived it. Gail, welcome. And I am so grateful that you have chosen to be on our podcast.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm really thrilled to talk to your people.
Oh,
I
thank you. Okay, Gail, before you became known as the old bird with the feathers of wisdom, who were you and what did life teach you uh, that you could never have learned from a book?
am. Okay. Well, I don't think there's anything that you learn easily unless you live through it. I mean, you can talk about it all you want. You can read books and expound on it, what you read, but when you live it, when you're actually there, my poodle is wanting to be part of the conversation. Stuff it. Uh, you learn lessons that you're not going to learn any other way. And
Ah,
most of the time, it seems to me you don't want to learn them. You're forced to learn them. And, you go through trials, tribulations, whatever you want to call them, and you learn, but you don't, it's like while it's happening, you're not thinking, oh, good, this is a learning experience. I'm so excited. No, no, no. It's not like that at all. In
no.
fact, those of you who are right in the middle of it right now may be thinking, what is she saying? How am I supposed to be happy about this? No, I don't mean that at all. It's a matter of accepting life is difficult. There's a wonderful book by M. Scott Peck called The Road Less Traveled, and the very first statement is life is difficult.
Yeah.
And the sooner you accept that life is difficult, the less difficult it becomes. Because we have an expectation. You have the wedding and all these girls when they're brides and they want to be a bride and all this, but that's not the marriage. you know.
Right.
And so, yeah, you need to come to grips with the fact that life is difficult. It's not a merry-go-round ride. It's not a great trip of joy and all every day being great. It's just not.
No, no. You raised three children as a single mother for 16 years. That's a long time. Can you take us back to the beginning of that chapter of your life? So, what were you carrying emotionally that people around you may not have even seen?
Yeah, and I do say that a lot to people. You don't see when you see the single mom and her kids dressed up for church or whatever, you think everything's she's got it together. You don't see everything that's
Yeah.
happening. Um, we had a beautiful life, a really beautiful life. Uh, Dream home that we built on an acre of ground,
Mhm.
gardeners, a boat, a company car. My husband worked for the family business, which is not something I ever recommend to anybody. And it was back in the days when Dallas, the TV series, was on.
Oh, I've
And
watched Dallas.
I used to say to people, I don't have to watch that. I'm living that. You know, the
Yeah.
sisters-in-law and this, no, no, no. It was a nightmare. Um, and it fell apart pretty quickly
Mm.
because my brother was the boss and he fired my husband.
Oh,
And there's never really been a complete explanation, but looking over the years and understanding and reading and studying things, I began to realize that my ex-husband was probably a narcissist and probably a little bit of a sociopath. He wanted his way and he liked to be in charge and he liked to have his company and everything to be great. Well, he did. He did. He took his secretary, they started a business. And I
Mhm.
was left with three little babies, and I was devastated. And the only thing I could really do for a living was to teach, but my teaching certificates were in speech and art.
Oh,
Yeah, my daddy didn't like
yeah.
that. So, but emotionally, you were asking emotionally, I I could barely hold it together during the day. And
Mm.
after they would go to bed at night, I'd kind of just pour my heart out and I shed more tears than you can imagine and just, cried and didn't know what to do. And later, years later, I looked back on it and I thought my mother was a widow at the time and she wanted to help, but I didn't have any clue what it was doing to her.
Mm.
And I know that it was hard. I know that it was very hard for her to see what was going on. If my dad had been alive, it would have been a big different thing. But um, we got through it. I mean, I got through it. I had a counselor that I saw every week. I kind of lived for that 1 hour of pouring my heart out, somebody having something to tell me. I couldn't get angry, and that was a problem. And I didn't realize it was a problem for years, but the counselor tried to get me to see, aren't you upset about this? And all I would feel was just hurt. And so they say that is anger turned inward
Right.
because I couldn't express myself to anyone. He was a real hard person to confront, the ex.
Mm.
And confronting him was always extremely emotional and caused even more grief than if you didn't. So, yeah, I went through that. And I've since then I've coached many single moms, and I can tell you that there are some things that are just common to women. And that kind of rejection and hurt, it lingers for a long time until you kind of figure it out. I teasingly always say to them, you need to do a complete autopsy on that previous relationship
Mm.
before you get into another one. Because we don't realize, and I see that happen too a lot. Women will get out of the marriage or they get out of one relationship and they turn around and get into another one that's very similar to the previous one that wasn't good. And so that's one of the pieces I tell moms all the time because I did spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. And like I say, it took years, but I did.
Yeah. When you were talking about all the tears, I thought of a lady who's written in one of my books, and she used to this similar situation where her husband left, and she she would get up in the morning with a smile on her face and get the kids to school, and then she would spend the rest of her day sitting in a lounge chair in her bedroom, crying and sleeping. And she did that for a long time. And then she realized, I just can't keep going like this. But yeah, people, I don't know. Some people sometimes don't realize the difficulty that it all brings. And I think it's the marriage, but when you have children, that makes it even harder.
Oh, yeah, I get past one thing with him, but to see what happened to my children
Yeah.
and see their disappointment and see their hurt,
Hmm.
even to this very day, after all these years,
Yeah.
there is still wounds that some of them can't get over.
Oh, yeah. Well, when did you realize that no one is coming to rescue
Mhm.
me
Mhm.
and that
Yeah.
you were going to have to build a life for yourself and for your children?
It took a couple of years
Yeah.
and I got antsy. I kind of wanted to do something
Yeah.
different. And I knew that if I was teaching, I knew that if I wanted to increase my salary at all, I had to have a master's degree. So I started looking into that and I've written about it. It's a fabulous story, the way that all worked out. And I did. I ended up taking three children under the age of 9 to Austin, Texas, which is 5 hours from here. I managed to find housing. I managed to find childcare. I managed to get enrolled. And I worked on that for 3 summers, got a master's degree.
Wow.
And, I thought, well, surely somebody will say congratulations. Not one person acknowledged it. I got the degree. Well, my sisters did, but not one person in the profession acknowledged it. I did get an increase in salary, a little, which increased my retirement. But
Yes.
that was one time I went back to college. I went back 3 times actually all
Oh,
total in order to get where I needed to go. And in
yeah.
order to do that, I tell moms, don't bite off the whole enchilada at once. When you're trying to do something, gather information before you make a decision
Yeah.
and then go one step at a time and see which doors open. Knock on the door to see which ones are going to open.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not make the highest score I could have made to get into UT. And I could have just thrown it away and said, okay, this is not meant to be. Some people say
Yeah.
that. But I didn't. There was a second option. I could get a letter of recommendation. I could go meet the dean. And I did. And immediately he stamped it and I got in. It was not a big deal, but it could have been a big deal if I had said, I can't do this. You
Hmm.
have to have some determination.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe you have to pick something that you can do first to prove to yourself that you can do it. I mean,
Yes.
I painted sweatshirts for crying out loud to get Christmas money. I was an art teacher, so I knew how to do that. It's back in the day when you painted sweatshirts, you didn't go have them printed. And so I would do anything I could to earn a little bit of money. And
Hmm.
I just got an email this morning about somebody that needs some financial assistance, and mainly it's learning how to live on what you're making. People just seem to have a rough time, and nowadays a very rough time on that.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's so much information out there that can help you,
Yeah.
even meal planning information.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
These
it took a
days,
while.
the technology, the information highway, even our conversation we're having today, there is so much help and information for people if they try to sort it out and look. Whereas I think for yourself and for me, I was a single mom for 28 years
Mm.
and there was a typewriter, right? There was none of this. And so I had to do like you, I had to figure it all out by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, a lot of women don't realize their own worth. You know,
No,
I'm thinking of
no.
a particular mom that I've tried to encourage her to sell her pound cakes because
Yeah.
they're the best pound cakes I've ever tasted in my life. She's just not past the grief yet, but
Mm.
she could make some good money doing
Yeah.
that. And
Yes.
the stories of different women who started out making cookies.
Yes.
And so just use what you've got,
Yes.
even if it's a little bit. It'll get
Yes.
it'll get you past one hurdle. It may not solve all your problems, but
No.
use your skills.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And we all have them.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're blinded to them, like your lady there, or like you say, she just might not be ready yet, but we've got them. We've all got some good skills. We just have to, if we don't know them, we need to discover them and then move forward and see how they can help us for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. What was the loneliest part of being a single mom for you?
Ooh. Well, I guess for a long time I thought if I met the right man, I could marry the right man and everything would be
Mm,
okay, and that would be
yeah.
where I was lonely. But there weren't too many good men that wanted to date somebody with 3 little kids.
Hmm.
Let's be honest. A good guy, responsible guy isn't interested in raising somebody else's kids that often.
Yeah.
You're just not. I would see it happen to some other people,
Yeah.
but it never happened to me. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I felt lonely there in that area of my life
Yeah.
a lot. And
Yeah.
women don't like to talk about that, they don't like to talk about missing the bed partner and not having that love that you need. And I was like 40. So, I mean, I was younger than that during the time of the divorce. But in those years, you need a man in your life, one way or the other, you know. And I
Yeah.
wasn't willing to just have a lover at the time. I just couldn't put myself in that
Yeah.
way at that time. And so that was a lonely period. Not, I did have other friends that were going through the similar things, and that helped. It helped a lot to have friends that understood, close friends. That helped a lot. But yeah, there were times whenever everybody would be going to something with their man or whatever,
Mm,
and I
yeah.
wouldn't be going, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but I got through all that, and I'm not a real person that's afraid of being alone. I
Mhm.
spend a lot of time in solitude, and I think it's healthy
Yes.
solitude, not in reclusive, but
Right.
yeah, the kind that where you can meditate and you can write and you can
Hmm.
think and about what you want to do with yourself. And I grew up that way. I was the
Hmm.
youngest, but my siblings were much older, and I had a lot of solitude in my life. And so that wasn't a problem for me. But there were times when I would get lonely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've said that you are committed to making women feel seen. What does that truly mean to you?
Well, considering my age and the era in which I grew into adulthood and how things are today, quite a bit different. But in my early adulthood, women were teachers, secretaries, or nurses.
Mm,
Okay. That was pretty much it, at least according to my daddy, who thought that was, why you get a teaching certificate. Um,
yes.
but now I don't see it that as bad, as much so that way. I see women who can pretty much step out there and do something that they want to do. And I encourage that. I encourage it a lot. Um, I believe that, well, let's see, we've got 14 grandchildren. I'm trying to figure,
Oh,
but one of
beautiful.
them just got through radiology tech and she's doing
Oh,
that and she's loving it. I never would have
oh,
imagined it. That's not something I could have done, being in surgery and watching all this stuff. Ugh. But
yeah,
she's doing that. Uh, and even the boys are doing things that uh, more hands-on, blue collar type things,
yeah,
which I was just listening to an interview about this, that we are needing to look into that and not look down on that. And women can take on jobs too that they wouldn't used to have taken on.
yes,
Um, we live in an industrial area here. You won't find very many women working in refineries, but they could,
yes,
some of them have, and that's good money. But I guess that I think that seeing women reaching out into whatever profession interests them and not having the doors closed just because they're a woman
hmm,
makes a huge difference. Now, I
yeah.
have one granddaughter that plans on being a mortician.
Oh,
I haven't,
oh,
she stayed with this idea for years. I can't quite picture that, but if that's what she wants to do, let her do it. And then you
yes,
see all of the new TV shows that have women who are detectives and whatnot, and it's okay. But that's,
yes,
I think, how it changes is what they
yes,
see on this on the TV, and
yes,
that seems to be what changes the overall cultural attitude about things.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Women as judges, women as attorneys,
yeah.
you know.
In the area and the neighborhood that I live in, there are they're building 45 houses on my street. So going this direction. And they've got they've got five built so far. But there's women on site. There's women like they're running around with their hard hats and their hammers they're they're working hard, these ladies. They're
Yeah.
not just sitting behind a computer. They are out there with the guys. And there's this one lady, I swear she works harder than any, even my husband's like, she works harder than the guys out there, you
Uh-huh.
know? And I mean,
Yeah.
and good for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for them. Yeah. What do you think the difference between independence and believing you must do everything alone? What's the difference?
Well, I don't know really, but I'll try. Um, well, I think that one of the things I did wrong was I thought I had to do everything. Now you've got to do everything. And by George, I can, I'm going to do this. I can do it. Well, it gets to a point, something's going to happen where you have to depend on other people. And there's nothing wrong with that. One summer, my 9-year-old son's appendix ruptured and
Oh,
he was really sick. It was very dangerous. He was in the hospital, and I had just closed on a house. I had just bought my first house.
oh,
And so I had been packing to move, but he was in the hospital and I wasn't leaving him.
no,
And so came down to it. I needed some people to help move a refrigerator, which obviously I couldn't do.
no.
And so I mentioned to a woman that I needed help moving my refrigerator. Now, keep in mind, I had already been boxing up everything myself.
Yeah.
And so she went to a to church that night to the choir practice and told them I needed help with my refrigerator. And do you know the entire choir went to my house and moved everything?
Oh my goodness. That is
I
so beautiful.
I still get chills. The point I'm trying to make is you have to be willing to ask for help.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
people want to help you. They do.
Yes. Yes.
There's all kinds of people out there that want to help us. And especially now there are organizations and they're more aware of the situation for single mothers. And, we've started one to help single moms get through school. Just
Mhm.
anything but that you see in your neighborhood where there are women who are single trying to make it. If nothing else, pat them on the back and say,
Yes.
great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I didn't
Yeah.
get much of that. Now, that was one story, but I didn't get a
Mhm.
whole lot because I was like independent. I was thinking I want to be independent, but I kind of
Mhm.
grew up that way. But the thing is, my husband now says you were single for too long. You're so independent. You don't know how to ask for help. And
Yeah.
and it's true. I'm
Yeah.
still resistant because it's such a habit of thinking, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And
Yeah.
he'll say, why didn't you just ask me to do that? And I just it's a habit. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
something worth considering. What's the difference?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what did you once believe about yourself that you now know was never true?
Maybe I was second rate,
Mm.
not quite good enough, you know? Um, I was nominated in high school to be most likely to succeed, but I came in second. You see,
Mm.
I have wanted to get my book sold and it's not selling.
Mm.
And I'm tired of pushing and
Mm.
always pushing. But I have realized that the world, the way it is now, you don't sell books like you could when 20 years ago, even.
Yes.
And so I'm coming to grips with reality without condemning myself or considering myself less than.
Mhm. Yes.
Just looking at the facts.
Yeah. I think that that is a problem that we still have, so many of us women have, is that we just don't see our full worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about education? So, why can education be such a powerful turning point for a single mother and her children?
Well, first of all, I'm not the kind of person that says everybody has to have a college degree. I'm not one
Hmm.
of those people.
Yeah,
All three of my children do not have college degrees. They are doing pretty dadgum well,
yeah,
considering. And so I don't think that way.
yeah.
I do think you need to be wise about your career choices. But I also think that single mothers in the world today need to have some kind of credential or
Mhm.
some sort of skill or certification that will definitely earn them a living for themselves and their children. And we have proven that. I mean, we have trained several radiology technicians. We have trained dental hygienists. When I say we've trained, we have supported them while they got that degree. We've got one police officer, we've got a couple of social workers, uh, and
Oh,
all of them are employed. I mean, licensed vocational nurses, there's a big demand for that.
yeah,
And most areas in the country will have a college that offers a 2-year program so women can get through it. Even a lot of it can be done online now. It's
yes,
amazing. It's amazing. Now, not all of it, of course, but
yes,
a lot of it can be. And,
yeah,
getting into things like accounting, if you're good with numbers, not me, but, and so
yeah,
you look at it and you study it. You gather information first before you make a decision. Or you go to the college and talk to somebody about what you might could do. They
yes,
often have counselors that can help you, but I think a single mother needs this more than maybe another woman who's married or who is not a mother but a single. That's different for different women. But if you're a single mom and you've got children to feed, you need to figure it out. And sometimes a 2-year education, and that sounds like a big lot, but 2 years is nothing.
no.
And you do 2 years and you come out of that with some sort of a certification. In fact, I'd like for your listeners to know that in the United States and Canada, there is an organization that provides grants for women. It's called PEO International,
Oh, yeah,
and it's gives away millions of dollars.
wow,
I got the program for continuing education grant,
yes,
which I love that one because it's specifically for women who have been out of school for 24 months and need to go back. And
ah,
if they have any questions, they can email me. I'd be glad to make contact, even in Canada, wherever they are.
yeah.
There will probably be a chapter that can help them.
Wow. Well, I'm going to let everybody know right now that we are going to have some information on how you can reach out to Gail in the show notes. So there will be some information there. And so if you want to reach out to her, certainly you can do so. But we will have some information there.
Good.
So, Gail, what do you think about women who say, I'm too old to go back to school, or I don't have enough money, or it's been way too long? What would you
Uh-huh.
say to them?
Well, immediately I'm thinking of one that now calls me mom, who's
Aw.
working on she's in her 50s. She's working on a degree here in Texas, and she's working on uh, accounting because she's good at accounting. And
Ah,
she will graduate with a 4-year degree, and she's in her 50s. So that's
wow.
one thing. And she's done it carefully, and she's done it step by step as she could afford to do it,
Yeah.
not all thinking, not looking at a big lump sum and thinking I can't do this, but looking at it step by step, baby
Yeah.
steps. And
Yes.
and I was gone. I don't forget how old I was when I went, but I was 40, I guess. And so and so I'm it was funny because at the University of Texas, they had a special program for continuing students, and they called it for older students. And you know how old you had to be an older student?
No.
23.
Oh,
Yeah, I was way past
okay.
23. And so, yeah, but there are women doing it. There are definitely
Yeah.
women doing it.
Yeah.
You can even Google that and find out quickly that there
Yeah.
are definitely women
Yeah.
still.
Well, and we're working longer. So this lady who's doing this in her 50s, good for her, because she's probably got at least another 20, 30 years of work experience ahead of her.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah, or more even, who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. Good for her. Good for her. Yeah, never too old. And sometimes I think we panic a little bit. Even myself, I get a little panicky from time to time, but then I just have to relax and say, whatever's meant to be is meant to be. But in the meantime, I'm just going to carry on as if I'm here forever.
Right. As long as you can get up and you're still vertical, you can still
Yep.
think, you know, do
Yes.
something about it. We should be lifelong learners. There's so
Yes.
much to learn,
Yeah.
and pick something that interests you, but that also can provide a living for you and for your
Yeah.
children. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
what it does for your children. It sees them. You provide a model for them. The best
Mhm.
story I can tell you is when we had a mom go across the stage to get her diploma a year, 2 years ago. Her like 9-year-old child stands up in the huge audience and screams, "That's my mama."
Oh.
And I thought,
Oh.
you know what? That says
Oh.
a lot because that child is not going to forget that his mom worked to get that degree.
Yeah.
And that will make a difference when that child is 18.
Yeah.
I just think we need to realize that everything we do is an example
Mhm. Yes.
for our children.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. So your book, it addresses boundaries, money management, and dating after becoming a single mom. So which of those areas created the hardest lessons for you? There it is. So living, learning, loving. Perfect. Is it available on Amazon?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And
Well,
Barnes and Noble and Bookshop. Yeah.
we'll put the link in the show notes. So if anybody wants to grab it, they can. So which one of those areas created the hardest lessons for you personally?
Probably boundaries.
Mm.
Um, Trying to set a boundary to keep me from being ill and keep me from being emotionally a wreck when I had to deal with my ex and things like that. In fact, I have a story or two in the book about that. And knowing that it was okay for me to stand up for myself, which I did in court, and that was, oh my gosh, whew, that was really hard. But learning that I could and that actually a judge might actually support me uh, was a good lesson. I talk about boundaries quite a bit. In fact, I have a newsletter that goes out twice a month, and I will cover boundaries kind of on a rotating basis. But I'm looking right at my bookshelf. I can't even count the number of books on boundaries. I have one, two, three, four, five,
Oh,
six, seven. And so
wow.
and I was teaching it to a class years ago, and I thought, well, we'll get on this topic for about 6 weeks. 2 years later, we're still
Oh,
on that topic because
yeah,
women are not, even women in this generation,
yeah.
maybe especially in this generation, are not taught how to have boundaries. They're not taught how to say, to block somebody, to get offline, to not interact with somebody. They're not taught how important it is to protect themselves. And I don't know that child abuse is going down anywhere I've heard. And that's where it starts. When your skin is
Mhm.
your first boundary and somebody abuses that, and you get to be an adolescent and you don't realize you don't have a boundary and it's not okay to say no or
Yeah,
don't touch
yeah.
me. So I think that's one of my big, big things.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think that that's so important for people to understand. Yeah, we need boundaries. We sometimes don't realize it. Sometimes we think we've set them, but we haven't. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, what are some warning signs that a woman is abandoning herself to keep a relationship?
A relationship that she shouldn't keep, you
Sure.
mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, when you start to avoid getting into any kind of a discussion with the person that you know is going to cause conflict, maybe even a little conflict. So you just avoid it instead of saying, well, I don't agree, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes in a marriage, you can't do that very well, depending on the other person. So they want to be right. And that would mean you have to be wrong
Hmm.
and you have to admit that you're wrong for them to be happy. That is a red flag. You know, you can't live like that and be at peace with yourself,
No.
you know. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that my husband and I agree on everything. Lord knows we don't. But we're able to respect the other person's viewpoint.
Yes.
And in a healthy relationship, you should be able to do that. You should be able to say, well, I can see why you might think that,
Yes.
instead of you're wrong, I'm right, get
Yes.
into this kind of conflict like
Yeah.
our whole nation seems to be doing right now. So yeah, I think that that would be a red flag.
Yeah.
Um, if you're in a relationship with a loved one, whether it could be a child, a teenager maybe,
Yeah.
and you cannot express yourself and your feelings or your
Mhm.
thoughts about something, that you might consider that a red flag. Now, if you've already gone through in your mind the scenario and what if I say this, that I don't want to bring this up because I know what's going to happen. I know it's going to be a bad situation. That's a little different than not being able to express yourself because you're afraid of the
Mhm.
conflict with the person.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When did you realize your life might be a lifeline for another woman?
When I first started coaching,
Mm,
um, I would notice that I could relate my experiences to something they were going through, and
mhm.
I could see what a difference it made to them, how they would lighten up and they would feel a connection and they would feel relief that somebody understood.
Yeah.
And then they would be willing to accept any kind of guidance you give or coaching you give because they feel like you understood. Um,
Yes.
it doesn't help a whole lot to give advice, especially unsolicited advice, when you don't know anything at all about what's happened to that person.
Of course. Absolutely. How did you decide what belonged in the book and what served the reader and what needed to remain private?
Good question. First of all, I started writing small pieces in about the year about 2000, and they would get published in magazines.
Oh,
So after a while, I had several of those, and I had a friend in Missouri. She became a publisher, a small publisher. She was publishing little things. And so she took all of those stories and began to compile them into a book for me. And together we put it together like that. And it wasn't hard because most of these things had already been published in a small uh, periodicals. And then the things that want are private are mostly because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to embarrass my children.
right.
So I didn't put everything I could have in there
Yes.
about them.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to a woman who believes her story is too ordinary or too painful or too messy to matter to anyone else?
I think if it's messy, it's probably going to matter
Yeah.
maybe more. You
Exactly.
know, the messier the better. Uh, uh, even in an ordinary situation, ordinary life, I think that you may think it's ordinary until you put it up against the wall and look at all of the things that you did and break it down into a kind of a theme. Sometimes people don't put the pieces of their own lives together like they could because it's their life and they don't think of it that way. Uh,
Yeah.
and yet they've done something with it that could help somebody else
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
thinking this is just ordinary, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What old bird with feathers of wisdom? Now, where did I love that? When I read that, I'm just like, I love that. Like, where did that come from? I do. I love it.
I was with a spiritual director and we started talking and I just said I'm an old bird and then the rest of it kind of fell into place and then I used it on radio. I was on radio for 10 years and
Oh, wow.
did that little spots and I used that as my byline.
Love it. I think it's yeah, it's great. So, Gail, what is one lesson that the younger you had to learn the hard way that you would hope that another woman wouldn't have to learn the hard way
Mm.
now?
I'm not sure I can say anything that's going to change how people live their lives, but I personally didn't have the confidence
Mm,
that I wished I'd had in my own discernment. I was going to do things the way my big sisters had done it.
mm,
My family liked my fiance, and my daddy liked him, and his daddy liked me. And that was the what you did. You got married and you had kids. And that was not necessarily my makeup, but it's what I did because it was what was expected of me.
yes.
And now I look at women thinking about the different ones in our family doing their own thing and what they wanted to do, not necessarily what they thought we expected them to do. And I think it's better if a woman really knows herself and follows her own path. Not that that's going to necessarily make it all easy,
No, no.
but yeah, I just didn't have. And it's funny that they nobody would have thought that about me. I was always on stage and I was always the lead in the play, and I looked like I was with great confidence. But when it came to my personal life,
Mm,
especially with men, I don't think I had any confidence at all.
yeah, yeah. It's such a good insight. Yeah, so such good insight. Well, Gail, I don't want to go. I'm enjoying this conversation so much, but our time is nearly up. Um, I appreciate you being here so much. I do have one last question for you, and that is, what do you wish every single mom could hear at the end of a long day when she feels like she's failing everyone?
You are worthy.
Mm,
You are amazing. You can do this, if nothing else but the love of your children, and you will
yeah,
get through another day. Just
yeah,
keep your eye on I always say, stay on the path with the light at the end,
yeah,
and you will get there.
yeah, yeah. Oh, beautiful. Gail, thank you so much for being willing to come on our podcast and talk so openly and with so many good insights and advice and well earned advice to give to others for sure. I appreciated it very much and you're doing such great things in the world, and I just there's so many good people. I just get to meet so many good people. I just love it. I love doing this.
I'm so glad you're doing it.
Oh, thank you.
So
Who'd
glad.
Yeah, who'd ever think that we get to chat, right?
Right. And I do love Vancouver. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Well, thanks again, Gail, and thank all of you for watching another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.